Welcome in Derrik Klassen. He is at QB Class on Twitter. He is Bleacher Report, New York Times Sports, and great quarterback content. Derrik, welcome to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game. How you doing?
I'm doing great today. How are you guys?
We're doing great, man. Super curious for you to lay out for us your read on Trey Lance / Brock Purdy and the 49er QB situation this offseason.
I mean, for me, it's just you can't really invest as much as you did in Lance and not give him a proper shot at the starting job. I probably expect them to battle it out because, Purdy did play fairly well, but I feel like they just drafted Lance to change the mold of what the Shanahan offense is, because previous to him, it was a lot of guys who were kind of standard pocket passers, weaker arms. They kind of only threw over the middle, all that jazz. It was kind of like there was this one way to play the Shanahan offense. And I think they drafted Lance explicitly to kind of unlock the run game and to unlock, stuff down the field, outside the numbers, all that stuff. And I think we actually saw a little bit with Purdy what that can look like. Like Purdy did a little bit more throwing outside the numbers, throwing deep, scrambling, stuff like that. And I think in theory, Trey Lance is just a supercharged version of that where his tools are just better. And you just hope that with him getting a little bit healthier, now having a couple of seasons of experience, understanding the playbook under, stuff like that he can finally step into being an impact starter. But I really like Lance as a prospect, so I'm hoping he gets a legitimate chance. And I'm really hoping that, he can kind of become the player that we want him to be, because I think getting a player as dynamic as him with those tools on top of the Shanahan offense, just his scheme on top of all the skill players they have, I mean, they might have magic.
You mentioned dynamic, and we think about Jalen Hurts and what he did as a, quote, dynamic player. Is Trey Lance able to be as dynamic as Jalen Hurts, or is he just going to be a different sort of a two-way threat at quarterback?
I would say he's fairly similar. At least my read on it is Hurts is probably a little bit more creative at this stage in his career, and I think at least part of that probably has to do with, Hurts just has so much more experience, right? He started as a freshman at Alabama, mostly played as a starter from then up until now. He kind of took like half of his rookie season off, and then there was a little bit at Alabama where he didn't play, but he's mostly played a lot of very, very high football for the past, 7 years or so. Whereas Lance, he played 1 year at the FCS level, was incredible, obviously, but hasn't really played serious football since then. And so I think that level of creativity that kind of enables Hurts's, dynamic play, I think that is probably going to take a couple of seasons for Lance. But just in terms of being able to unlock the run game, doing some of the design stuff, I think especially between the tackles, kind of like Hurts can do, I think a lot of that stuff Lance can do. It's just, like I said, he's going to have to get the reps, and it's going to take some time, because just in terms of his experience, he's so much further behind than a guy like Jalen Hurts is.
Derrik Klassen, quarterback content, Bleacher Report, New York Times Sports as well, with us here on 95.7 The Game. Derrik, I'll go ahead and freely admit, I'm someone who, through the last few years of Kyle Shanahan 49er football, I am a major defender of quarterbacks who go out there and win, and therefore I battle against this idea that, they're just a product of Kyle Shanahan's system, and it feels to me a little bit like there are plenty of people out there, I wonder if you're one of them, who sort of are going to blow off what Brock Purdy did because product of the system. What's your response to that? I
think I probably lean somewhere in the middle. I mean, I'll start with my starting point is I think Shanahan is the best offensive mind in the NFL, even over guys like Reed and stuff. I think the way that he's able to understand how to mesh his run and pass looks, how to get linebackers in a bind, how to get safeties in a bind. Like, I think he's just kind of one of one in that regard. And then you add that on top of two receivers who are basically number ones, maybe the best tight end in the NFL. I think there's just so much there to work for, with if you're a quarterback, where it kind of puts you into easy mode. That being said, my thing with Brock Purdy is and in the Shanahan offense, I do think you have to have the skills that you have to be a really confident passer, and you have to have good timing. I think he showed some of that, at least for, a rookie. I think he did pretty good in those areas. Where I think Purdy impressed me, and I think, kind of like I said earlier, unlocked something new in the Shanahan offense was, when we watched Jimmy Garoppolo, all he could do was sit in the pocket. He wouldn't move. He was only throwing over the middle. That's all he had. But Purdy kind of unlocked these other elements of the offense where it was like, oh, we have a quarterback who can scramble now. And, defensive linemen can't just tee off and know that they're going to get this guy who's stationary in the pocket and they can just go hit him. He kind of added this extra element of, spice to the offense that wasn't there previously. And when you add that on top of what is already like a top 3 offensive structure in the NFL, I think that's why you saw that offense kind of reach a new height, even despite, some of Purdy's, I think, inconsistencies as a rookie. It's just because I think he unlocked so many other things in the offense. So I probably think he's getting a little overrated because I think his numbers, were obviously incredible playing in that offense. But I think he proved that he's a legitimate NFL quarterback. Like, he's no worse than a guy like, Taylor Heineke, who has proven that he's a solid NFL quarterback and, he can go out and win you games. I don't know what Purdy's ceiling is, but I think he's at least that kind of player, and you hope that he can develop into a little bit more.
Yeah, surgery upcoming for Purdy. He'll be out, and the Niners will need to bring in another quarterback for insurance at the very least. Who among the free agents would you think that they should tab to come in and be able to run the Shanahan system while Purdy is out and Lance is maybe still developing?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I think definitely not Drew Lock. I don't think he really is going to fit what they're going to want to do, and I think they're probably not going to end up getting some of the higher end guys because it would just kind of crowd the QB room too much. If maybe they can, I actually don't remember if Andy Dalton is a free agent. If he is available, I think that actually makes a lot of sense for what they do.
Oh yeah,
there we go.
But I actually haven't thought too much about what their free agent options are going to be.
Andy Dalton's a name that has been thrown around a little
pistol.
bit. Yeah, and yes, he was on a 1-year deal. So there it is. I love it.
I love it.
Yeah. Hey, Derrik, I'm betting we're going to do this again this summer. So thank you very much for hopping on.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'll be happy to be back.
Okay, Derrik Klassen, great quarterback content. You can check him out at QB Class on Twitter, Bleacher Report, New York Times.